welcome to Twisted Locker, your definitive horror podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the best horror sequels of all time. And I'm going with direct sequels, so number twos only. What have you got for me, Jenks?
Okay. Believe it or not, there's a lot of shit, but there are plenty of good ones. Mainly shit usually, but these are pretty good. This is not better than the original, but it's a damn good sequel. It's 28 weeks later. The first one had some of the best zombie scenes ever. I know they're not officially zombies; they're got to be dead, don't they? But what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, of course.
It has arguably one of the best opening scenes when Robert Carlyle just leaves his wife to die and sprinting down the hill, being chased by all the zombies. It goes a little bit flat. It's a little bit slow in the middle, but as sequels go, and it's very difficult to make a good sequel to a really strong film. It's easy to make a good sequel to a shit film or a low-budget film. But they kind of nailed it. And even though, like I said, most people won't think it's as good as the first, everybody wants to see 28 months later. It's never happened. What do you think?
To be honest, I've read a lot of things. Apparently it's close. Apparently there's a script knocking about.
Is it?
But I got to agree with you, Jenks. Fantastic sequel. I actually had a shock when I rewatched it recently. Imogen Poots, obviously she's blown up a bit now, and obviously when I first watched it, I wasn't aware of her, so I had a nice surprise with that one. Yeah, cracking pick, Jenks. For me, the first one I'm going to have to go with.
Yeah.
And one of my favourite sequels of all time is Psycho 2 by Richard Franklin. Fantastic script by Tom Holland. Fantastic sequel. If you're going to follow up to one of the most iconic horror films of all time, that is how you do it. I may get a lot of flack for this one, but I much prefer it to the original. It's more up my street. It's more of a straight up horror film, and you just cannot beat that shovel scene. Nothing in any film ever made has hit harder than that shovel. Absolutely fantastic. One of my favourite sequels of all time. And like I said, absolutely trumps the original for me. It hurts to say it, Jenks, but I got to admit it.
I'm not. Listen, good. You know me. I ain't a horror snob. The second one is better. The first one is a classic. You can't slag it off. But I'm a person who prefers the remake to Dawn of the Dead, and I'm gonna get lynched for that. It's another video. But I grew up on.
I may lynch you for that one, Jenks.
I grew up on Psycho 2, right? And I loved it. And what's great about it is a genuine sequel, as in the length of time it took to come out was the length of time he would have been in jail for, which is perfect.
Yeah.
He's trying to reform. It's not even a flat out horror. It's just something unnerving all the way through, isn't it?
And it's filmed fantastically as well. It just looks great.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's one I go back to a lot. Got anything else for me, Jenks?
Yeah, for me, again, these aren't necessarily better than the first. These are not like Terminator 2s and Aliens and things like that. These are just strong sequels that doesn't have to be better. It's just a good follow-on. And I'm going to go with Saw 2. Now, I don't think it's better than the first. Some people will. The first one has such a great premise with James Wan and Lee Winnell. I love the second one, right? It's got such a good twist. I won't spoil it in case someone hasn't seen it, but all of them have got good twists. Some of them are a bit shit. But oddly enough, no matter how many awesome traps he puts together, somehow on his own, with no team of engineers, and none of them ever break down either. They always work perfectly. I love the fact that the worst thing that happens in there is when that girl gets pushed into the pit of needles.
The needles, yeah, horrific.
Oh my God.
That's everyone's fear, though, isn't it? Needles.
Oh, it's so good. And she's coming out, and her reaction is exactly like a real reaction. Like, oh, not necessarily in pain, just like, oh my God, get these fuckers out of me. I'm a big fan of that film.
Somehow I winced more at that scene than seeing someone get their jaw ripped out. It's horrific.
Oh, yeah. And a little history about that film. So I could be wrong here, but that's what I read a few years ago. So Saw 1 was such a big hit. They they didn't think they were going to do a sequel. They thought it was going to be a standalone like 7 or something, you know, and it had that kind of tone to it.
Yeah.
It was such a big hit. Jigsaw was such a good character, and he didn't die at the end. Spoiler alert. And they felt there was a script floating around about like a house of traps. They were just doing the rounds, and they just stuck the Saw 2 stamp on it, tweaked it around a little bit, and that became Saw 2, and then they just churned them out every year then.
Well, I didn't know that, Jenks.
Yeah, little fact. And
man of knowledge.
And that's probably why it's a really strong sequel, because it wasn't really somebody just busting their ass trying to get like a sequel put together. And that's why they went weaker and weaker, because they did have that pressure, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Pressure to deliver another Saw movie. No, I like it. A man of knowledge. One I have to mention, Jenks, and I'm a massive fan of this franchise, is VHS 2. I think it's one of the strongest entries in the franchise. And I don't know why you're laughing, right? VHS kicks ass.
Shit. That's why I'm laughing. Shit, all of them.
Even you haven't even seen VHS 2? No.
Yeah, I haven't eaten a turkey that I know that tastes like shit. Okay. Listen,
hey, you can't compare. Hey, we're here now, right? We're doing a horror podcast, and you're comparing watching a horror film to eating turd, all right?
Yeah, it's
VHS 2. But I'll say one thing, right, Jenks? If you're not going to give VHS 2 a chance, and this is what I wanted to speak about in this part, is specifically the segment done by Gareth Evans. Wales' own Gareth Evans, along with Timo, who he's worked with a lot. VHS 2, Safe Haven, is one of the best short films I've ever seen. It's horrific, it's unsettling. It's about these group of videographers that go into this cult sort of school. Very controversial. And obviously all hell breaks loose. Every time I watch it, it just gets under my skin. I've always had a big thing for cult movies. It's just something that really gets to me. It's fantastic, but I will say, Jenks, if at all, next time you're up mine, I have to show you that one segment. Okay. If you're not going to give it a chance.
I know, listen to me now. I will watch it, because I did enjoy one of them. I can't remember which one
94,
it was now.
I think it was, yeah.
94. Yeah. I say enjoy, it was half decent. Apart from that stupid story to start with a rat, man. Oh, for fuck's sake, man. How did somebody write that? If I pitched that idea to you, you'd have gone, Steve, that's not one of your best.
Yeah, to be fair. Yeah, but it's the look and the atmosphere of it. It's how they do it. And that's what I love about VHS. Yeah. The stories don't have to be solid. It's the whole feel of them. I'd say the only one I actually really dislike is VHS Viral, which is the third one. Just really poor. But the rest of them, I go back to a lot. As you know, Jenks, I'm a massive fan of the franchise.
Right, my top pick, it's going to be probably the same as yours, but that's the way it is. My top pick, I got in there first, obviously, because it's my turn. Evil Dead 2. It is... Now, some would argue it's a remake. Some would argue it's a sequel. It's probably a bit of both. I know there's a lot of fans out there saying, no, the first 5 minutes is this. It's like, no. It's just, the first one was banned. Nobody could watch it. And he had this great material, and he made a second one, and he called it Evil Dead 2, easier to market. It is so superior to the first. The first one's a classic, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But it's so fucking good. It's so much better than anything else Ash has got up to, unfortunately. Because for me, Ash went a little bit too silly, a little bit too slapstick. The tone was perfect, because so much so, when I was a kid, I didn't know it was a comedy. I just thought it was a horror film.
Yeah.
I thought, where's the jokes? And do you know the bit when he stabs his hand and he chops it off and he's laughing like he's really got one up on this demon, even though he's cutting his own hand off? It's one of the best jokes there is. It's not a gag.
Who's laughing now?
Yeah, it's genius. And honestly, the filming going through the cabin, somehow the cabin's like a TARDIS. It just kept going and going and going. And Henrietta, although I prefer her as a zombie, I don't like when she goes into that snake woman. Henrietta is one of the greatest zombie monster villains ever, played by the brilliant Ted Raimi. And it's always more disturbing when a guy dresses up as a zombie woman like they did in Dawn of the Dead remake. Something more
Yeah,
aggressive. That's my
yeah,
top tip.
100%.
That's my top one. Have you got one? Is it different? We don't know.
Of course, it's not different. Evil Dead 2 is my
Copy of me.
favorite movie of all time. Massive fan of the whole Evil Dead franchise. I don't agree with Jenks saying that's the height of Evil Dead. It is my favorite one, but there's not one single Evil Dead project that I don't absolutely love. But number 2 is at the top of the pile, obviously. Just like what everything Jenks said, it's just one of the most iconic horror movies ever made. I just absolutely love that movie so much.
Good choice. Same as mine.
This is why you wanted the video this way, so you could get your number 1 spot in first. Yeah? That's why. I see what you're doing. Sometimes we're going to agree. It's very unlikely. It's not going to happen very often. I think we clash a lot, but I think that's something we can agree on. Evil Dead 2 is the greatest sequel of all time.
Yes.
Well, that's it. Nice to end the video on a little agreement, Jenks. But that's all we got time for today. If you enjoyed the video, guys, leave a comment, like and subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.